So we obviously are living in very different times in the education community um, and in our world. Many of us as educators may need in the immediate future to transition our approach to reach students online. There are multiple ways of doing this, and I've already had tutorials created for another product, but I decided to do something focused on Zoom because it seems now, to me anyway, that it's a very popular default that many schools are using. So what I'm going to do is to try to give you enough information to get you started, show you the basics, recognizing that complete utilization of this tool could involve other things, and clearly there are many ways of going about using Zoom, but this at least is kind of a basic approach. Now, for the time being, Zoom indicates that they are making their tool available to educators on an unlimited basis. This means all kinds of things about how many students can be enrolled, although most educators wouldn't have to worry about thousands, and duration and things of that. I'm going to approach this using what previous to this present emergency would be the basic default version, which is still adequate for most situations, I would think. It limits the recording time, the class time, to 40 minutes and to approximately 100 students. And whenever we emerge from present circumstances, this basic version should still be available. So if I keep talking about the limits, 40 minutes and things like that, that's something that predated present date and should be available guaranteed in the future. But added capabilities may be available to you as an educator under present circumstances. So to get started, if you're working completely from scratch and on your own, you should go to the Zoom homepage, which is zoom.us, and you should encounter something that looks like this. Now, you do need to create an account. It's a simple matter of, as you would do with many different services, email address and password. I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that again. I am just going to start assuming that what I'm going to do is host a meeting, and you can see that here. So I will launch a meeting, and I want to do it with video. Now Zoom is going to put something on your computer, and it's going to look like this. And so I'm going to accept open zoom.us. And you will see kind of the whole thing taking off. I have to move this back into my window. And so as the host, what I'm going to do now is join the meeting with audio. And we are now functioning. The controls are pretty basic. You can see them at the bottom of the screen here. Unless you're just recording for later distribution and you want to run a live class, the thing you need to start with, I would assume, is you need to invite participants. And so here's how you would do that. So typically what I do, I kind of ignore some of this, and basically I come here where it says copy invitation. Now that's just going to copy a bunch of information into the basically, like you were copying something to the memory of your computer. So I would copy an invitation, so it takes it to my clipboard, and now I would open whatever email I use to connect with students, or maybe you're not going to use email. Maybe you're going to post this on Blackboard or something as an announcement, and I would then paste that into that announcement on Blackboard, or I would paste that into the email and send it to whomever I wanted to join the meeting. So this is the approach I take with my online classes. They are meeting at a particular time. They're waiting for this invitation. I use Blackboard. They're sitting there at the computers. I'm sending something to them that shows up in an announcement in Blackboard. They click on the link. We all then are connected. And so whether you do it by email, whether you do it through some other means, this is at least one way to get everybody together. Now, again, this is assuming a face-to-face class. Now, some other things that I think are useful, you can again see at the bottom of the screen here. If you like a chat window so that you can maybe talk or you can interact with a specific student and others can interact with each other or with you, you want to open up a chat window that will show up. And let me move this a little bit so you can see it. I didn't quite make my recording window big enough, but you see it shows up here on the right hand side. So now chat is available. And then the other basic thing that I think is pretty important to know how to do is to share. And so this is the way that you would bring up information, other sources. You would let students bring up information and other sources. So everyone kind of needs to know how to share their screen. And so you come down here to share. And so I'm setting up the defaults. I'm basically want one student to share, or me, and I click share, and it gives me the options that I have. So you can see I could share not just this window, but the bigger window on my screen. I could share other things that I have open on my desktop. And when you do that, instead of sending out the window you see now with me in it, well, I can maybe show you that just quickly. Let's see, what else might I share here? You would get something like this in the short term. Now, what you're still just looking at what I see, so that's not very helpful, but this isn't what's being available on the other end. When I do this, and I'm not, I think you can kind of see it at the very top of the screen here, there is the way you turn this off. And of course, you need to know how to stop sharing when you want to kind of go back to the default view, which now looks like this. So we can interact if you are connected with me. We can interact via chat, which you see on the right-hand side. And I or you, if you're participating with me, could access other kinds of things that would be shared, other resources. You can basically bring up anything within the share window that you have open, and you do that by going to share and then connecting to the resource that you want to use. The final thing, and this is important because you may want to have what you have done in a session available later. You may only want to have what you're doing now available later. Or you may want to have the session of a face-to-face interaction available to somebody who couldn't participate later, or maybe somebody who just wants to review what happened during a given section. And that essentially is this record feature here. Now, obviously, I'm recording this, but I'm doing it in a different way. I'm not using Zoom itself because I'm trying to show you some other things at the same time. But if you want to record, what you do is come down here and turn record on. When you do this, now this is what you have. So I'm now recording. Actually, I'm recording to two sources at the same time. I'm recording what's happening in the Zoom thing for if I was only using Zoom, but I'm also recording this larger window so that I can demonstrate Zoom at the same time. And when you do this, understand that Zoom is not recording remotely, it is recording to your own equipment. So this is being recorded to my computer. And the nice thing about that is when I'm done, I stop, okay? And when I quit Zoom, it will then also store the Zoom video on my computer so that I can do something with it. If you're a Blackboard user, you could, once it's stored on your computer, upload it to Blackboard. That's not what my university wanted me to do, so when I did online classes, I uploaded it to YouTube and then shared that link. I didn't have to make it public. I shared that link with just the students in my class. So Zoom, at this level, it's pretty easy to use. There's, the creativity that you involve is what makes it unique. So you have a way to share documents. You can share them. Your students can share them with you. You have a way to chat. You have a way to interact, which is what I'm doing asynchronously, I guess you might say, with you at this moment. And then you also have a way to save the session and everything for distribution or review purposes. So it's really a fairly easy to use, straightforward tool that I think could be quite useful under the circumstances that we now all face. So if you have any kind of experience with technology, there's plenty more that you can discover in the use of Zoom. And for those who are just starting, I hope this is enough to at least give you the opportunity to try. That's pretty much what it takes. Maybe a little trial and error in the early attempts, but we all learn by experimenting and doing. So be safe out there, and I hope this has been helpful.